Karen had a problem with everything I did on my ranch. If I cut the grass too late, she complained about the noise. If my cattle wandered near the fence line, she said they were menacing. But her strangest crusade yet came when I installed a new window in my barn loft. The barn was old, and I wanted more light inside. So I hired a crew to cut a large, arched window and frame it nicely. It looked sharp, fit the rustic style, and made working up there much easier. The day after it was finished, Karen marched over, snapping photos. "This is against code," she yelled up at me. "That window is not HOA approved." I wiped my hands on my jeans and leaned out. "Karen, this barn isn't in your HOA. "It doesn't matter," she snapped. "That window faces the neighborhood. It disrupts the aesthetic. Take it down or face fines." I laughed. "Good luck with that." A week later, I got a letter shoved into my mailbox. Not an official notice, just a typed-up violation from Karen, claiming the window had to be removed within 14 days. Instead of responding, I framed the letter and hung it right beneath the window inside the barn. Karen wasn't done. She called county code enforcement. They came out, inspected, and shrugged. "It's fine. Nothing wrong here." Then she called zoning. Same result. Then she called the sheriff. He nearly laughed in her face when she demanded they arrest me for unauthorized construction. But she still didn't stop. Finally, during one of her HOA meetings, she brought it up to the board. "We need to take legal action. That window is ruining our property values." I decided to show up, and I didn't come empty-handed. When Karen began ranting about my barn window, I calmly walked to the front of the room, pulled out a thick envelope, and laid it on the table. "This," I said, "is the deed to the building you're sitting in." The room went dead silent. Karen blinked. "What are you talking about?" I opened the envelope and spread the documents out. "Turns out, this entire community center you all hold meetings in, it sits on a parcel tied to my ranch. I've owned it for years. Your HOA has been squatting." The board members scrambled to look over the papers. The county stamps, the signatures, the surveys, all there. One of them muttered, "Oh my God, it's true." Karen went pale. "So let me get this straight," I continued. "You've been screaming about a window in my barn. While all of you are meeting inside my building without permission?" People started shouting. Not at me, at Karen. "You told us he had no rights here," one woman snapped. "You've wasted months on this nonsense," another added. Karen tried to regain control. "Don't listen to him. He's lying." But the board knew better. I'd already filed everything with the county and even had the sheriff review it. That night, I locked the doors to the community center. A new sign hung on the entrance the next morning. "Private property, no unauthorized use. Contact owner for access." The HOA had to scramble to find a new place to meet. Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon at the next gathering in the park pavilion, sitting on a fold-out chair while bugs swarmed the lights. Meanwhile, my window? Still there. Still letting sunlight into my barn. Now, whenever I pass Karen, she glares at me with pure hatred. She wanted to force me to remove a single window. Instead, she lost the very building she used to run her meetings. And every time I glance out my barn loft window, I can't help but smile. Last year, I had to spend 6 months overseas for work. Before leaving, I made sure everything was secured, fences repaired, and cattle tended to. I had a ranch hand checking in weekly. Everything was in order. But when I returned, I didn't recognize my own land. Where my fields once stretched, there were rows of cookie-cutter houses, sidewalks, streetlights, driveways, and bright banners that read, "Welcome to Oak Ridge Estates, Phase 2. 138 brand new homes, built directly on my property." I nearly ran my truck off the road. I stormed straight to the HOA clubhouse, where Karen, the president, was sipping iced tea like a queen on her throne. "You've got 10 seconds to explain why there are houses on my land," I growled. Karen smiled sweetly. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. The developer decided to expand, and your ranch land was perfect. Don't worry, you'll be compensated once the sales finalize." My blood boiled. You built on MY property without consent. That's trespass, fraud, and theft. Karen laughed. You weren't using it. Now families will enjoy it. You should be thanking us. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just walked out because I knew something she didn't. See, the developer who originally built their subdivision? I'd gone to school with the CEO. And while the HOA thought they were cozy with him, they forgot one important detail. Their contracts only covered the lots already sold. They had zero rights to expand without purchasing new land. And they hadn't purchased mine, which meant every one of those 138 houses was sitting illegally on my ranch. I called the CEO. Hey, you might want to check your records, I told him, because your company just built phase 2 on land I still own. There was silence on the other end of the line, followed by a panicked, "What?" I sent him the deed, the surveys, and the aerial photos. Within hours, his legal team descended on the HOA like a pack of wolves. Turns out, the HOA board had forged documents claiming they had development rights. The contractor never verified ownership, they just built. That single mistake triggered one of the biggest lawsuits in county history. The HOA was sued for fraud. The developer sued them for damages. Homebuyers sued them for selling illegal lots. And me? I sued for land theft. In the end, the HOA was completely bankrupted. Karen and her board were personally liable for millions. Their homes were seized, their assets drained, and their reputations destroyed. As for the 138 new houses, the county condemned them. Some were bulldozed, others sat empty, rotting shells of a failed scam. My ranch hand and I tore down the cheap sidewalks and fences, and I reclaimed my land. Today, when I drive past that part of my ranch, it's peaceful again, just wide, open fields. A few remnants of driveways poke through the grass like scars, reminders of what Karen and her HOA tried to steal. They thought they could take my land while I was away. Instead, they lost everything, while I gained one of the most ironclad property rights cases in county history. My ranch stood long before their HOA, and it'll still be here long after they're gone.